So like if you look through this document, you'll notice I want to tell them who I am and then very quickly demonstrate that I think about the world the same way they think about the world. Because when people are around individuals or groups of individuals who have the same interpretation or impression or perspective on either an item, an object, or a group of people, or ultimately society at large, and in this case an industry, it allows them to drop their defenses, allows them to be very open about the ideas that they're getting ready to hear about, because they've already been introduced to commonality that allows them to say, you know what, we're on the same team. We can relate to each other. We think about the things the same way. I'm wondering what you're thinking about now, because now that I see that you and I think alike and we have similar perspectives, there's a chance that what you're interested in, I'm also interested in. Then you've really got to start crafting the idea in a compelling manner. Now, what does that mean? Well, I know where I want to end up, right? I want to end up with, let's do a deal. And I want to end up with, let's do a deal in this manner. But in order to get the audience from here's who I am and here's how we think about things the same way to you want to do a deal and you want to do it this way, I have to lead them down this path that ultimately helps them arrive at let's do a deal and let's do it this way. The idea of any good communication document is that the audience would arrive at the answer just before the answer is given to them, so that the answer is now theirs. That's, in the consulting world, that's called buy-in. And what we learned in consulting early on is that coming up with the right answer is less than a fourth of the challenge. Getting buy-in, getting people to follow through, getting people to implement effectively, just as you have described the answer to be right, is 75% of the problem, if not more.
Here, they wanted that open kitchen, open with the great room, and they wanted this kind of nice feel there. But the exceptional view is this way. So what we did here is we put a gigantic piece of plate glass here, and it had a butt joint there, so it's a continuous glass here to here. It's like 12 feet of glass. We had like 4 kitchen options for them to choose. And when they saw the glass thing, they were like, every other option just melted away. I mean, you've heard the old saying, the customer's always right. Well, they're really not, okay? But you gotta make them think they are. I mean, you have to be respectful of their ideas, because every customer, I mean, you rarely have a customer come in that just simply says, I saw your house over there that you designed. Would you design me one? And they just give you a square footage limit and just say, come up with whatever you want. That doesn't happen. I mean, 1 every 100 houses. They're all going to come in with their ideas. And so, I mean, we feel like primarily you have to be respectful of their wishes. I mean, they're paying you, after all. You have to, I mean, there's got to be a way to respect their wishes and also to be creative on your end so that your design, so that your wishes to have a proper design be satisfied, and the two have to marry.
As much as I can, when I'm in the clinic seeing my patients, I try to really address the visit to them. And you can do that very easily with an adolescent, in a school-age child, and you approach them at the level, pretty much kind of ask them, a question that's unrelated to their health. What's going on in school, how you're spending your summer, to sort of open the door to find out what's on their mind and what they're doing, to find a common ground. For younger children who are too young to actually have a conversation, then I speak to their parents. And in the kids that are in the transition between not really being very verbal or understanding what's going on, but are maybe afraid to say anything, I am very aware of the fact that anytime I talk to their parents, they're absolutely listening to everything that I'm saying and listening for certain words that they might, be worried about hearing, things like blood drawing or hospital or a test. So I think my communication with any of the groups always comes back to finding that common ground. Coming in to see a physician is always an anxiety-provoking experience. I know that I experience the same thing when I'm going in for a visit, because I have an agenda in my mind about why I'm there, and then also paying attention to every single cue that I get from the physician in terms of body language, gesture, and what they say and how they say it. So being aware of that, I think, is really important. Most of the time, when we are communicating with patients and families, we're focused on our agenda of what we need to accomplish. But I think periodically you have to step back and look for the cues as to, are you raising anxiety, lower anxiety? Are you answering the questions that perhaps they came in with? And if you're giving an answer, are they drifting off because you've suddenly started using terms that are just way over their heads? Or have they stopped listening because you have said something that is just, essentially a stop sign, like hospitalization, and they're not going to hear anything else because they've suddenly broken into tears. And then you change your communication. You stop talking about the reason for that and you console them. You kind of have to really deal with the things that are on your patient and your family's agenda first.